crime for there to be just like Border Patrol, Highway Patrol, sheriffs.
We need more federal agents to protect the citizens.
Immigration policy, a key issue for many voters in the upcoming presidential election, especially along Arizona's southern border. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. With heated debate over how to address issues at the southern border, both presidential candidates are keeping the focus on the battleground state of Arizona, pushing their immigration plans. Fox's Kennedy Hayes spoke with people who live and work in border towns to find out what they believe needs to happen.
This is the state's largest port of entry here in Nogales. Some people that live here say they've benefited from the flow of migrants. Others say it's caused concern, but they have very different views on how they want the next president to address border policy.
Funding doesn't get down here, so we have a lot of issues, obviously, that come with the border, trafficking, a lot of drug issues. We need more federal agents to protect the citizens and also to protect the people who are trying to come here legally.
I think there's enough security. There's not, I don't think there's a lot of crime for there to be just like Border Patrol, Highway Patrol, sheriffs, deputies.
Marriages are torn apart, children are separated. I wish there was more leniency instead of outright deportation.
In a new poll from Fox News, voters were asked which issue was most important to them. 39% said the economy, followed by immigration at 16% and abortion at 15%. Arizona is the only swing state that shares a border with Mexico, and this year, Arizonians will be voting on Proposition 314, also known as the Secure the Border Act. The proposition would in part make it a Class 2 felony for a person to knowingly sell fentanyl that leads to a person's death. In addition to CBP officers, let state and local police arrest people suspected of crossing the border illegally and create new criminal penalties for those in the U.S. illegally who submit false documents applying for employment and public benefits. Customs and Border Protection says migrant encounters at the southern border are on track to reach their lowest annual total since the end of the Trump administration. In Nogales, Arizona, Kennedy Hayes, Fox News.
The leaders of New Mexico and Texas are at odds over razor wire fencing between those two states in an area near the southern border. This week, Governor Greg Abbott ordered the Texas National Guard to expand that fencing along the Rio Grande. Governor Abbott says the new barriers around El Paso are designed to deter migrants to New Mexico before they arrive in Texas. New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham is blasting the tactic with a statement that says, in part, Governor Abbott seems to be pushing to make Texas its own country without regard for his neighbors or the fact that Texas is already part of a great nation, the United States. The statement goes on, Governor Abbott's latest political stunt at the border will have no meaningful impact on our nation's broken immigration system. Only Congress can fix our federal immigration laws, and I implore Republicans in Congress to stop holding up the carefully negotiated bipartisan agreement they are deliberately stalling in Washington. Vice President Harris is going virtual with her campaigning tonight. She's in the middle of a live-streamed event with Oprah called Unite for America. This is happening in front of a live audience in the battleground state of Michigan. One of the issues already discussed tonight is the vice president's push for reproductive rights. And former President Trump attended a gathering of the Israeli-American Council in Washington, D.C. late today. During his speech, he vowed to be a best friend to Jewish Americans. This event came at a particularly sensitive time for Israel as the war with Hamas nears the one-year mark. Gaza's health ministry says more than 41,000 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza since Hamas's attack on October 7th. Some scary moments for people on board a yacht in Southern California. Cameras captured that boat going up in flames, triggering fireworks and ammunition to explode. Fox 11's Laura Diaz spoke to witnesses as investigators worked to figure out what happened.
This dramatic footage shot by a Fox 11 viewer shows the 100-foot luxury yacht catching fire while docked at Marina del Rey. The explosive fire in Basin A was called in about 8:30 Wednesday night.
We're calling.
Fox 11 obtained this video shot from a neighbor's balcony. They heard people screaming, trapped on the boat. Frantically, they called 911.
Oh my God, do they need help? but like, how do we? I think we just called the fire department, but there's a huge boat on fire at the end of Bora Bora Way.
Friends were calling out, wanting to know if they needed any assistance because there were people that were literally rushing off the boat. I believe one person broke a window and dived out of the window into the water. And yeah, there was pandemonium, no doubt about it.
We learned 2, possibly 3 people escaped the combustible fire. 2 people reportedly pulled to safety from the burning vessel out a window. Witnesses captured the sounds of several explosions as firefighters bravely battled the flames. The flames inside the boat appeared to resist the water. Neighbors speculated what ignited the night boat fire.
I started hearing fire trucks, and I came out and saw that the boat on our end tie was engulfed in flames. I was coming up the gangplank. We had 2 explosions on the boat. Could have been propane tanks, could have been batteries.
Eventually, the yacht, named Admiral, valued at about $1 million, sank from all the water, where it remained Thursday. A portion of the wreckage visible as Coast Guard and a private company worked to clean up the 4,000 gallons of diesel fuel that spilled into the water.
We have absorbent pads in the water to try to capture all that fuel.
The cleaning will go on at least through the weekend. About 15% of the people in this marina live aboard their boats, as did the survivors of the boat fire.
I think he bought the boat 4 or 5 years ago for just under $1 million, so it's a pretty good loss. Hopefully he has insurance.
In Marina del Rey, Laura Diaz, Fox 11 News.
The city of Las Vegas is facing mixed reactions from the public as it tries to strengthen its ban on people camping on sidewalks. The city introduced an amendment on Wednesday that will be reviewed in October. The proposed change would allow the city to enforce that ordinance even if there is no city shelter space available for those who are unhoused and are cited. Some local businesses support the change, while homeless advocates claim that it threatens the unhoused community.
Must be done. They keep littering outside.
They continue to engage in cruel behavior to target our unhoused population. They're going to require taxpayers to pay for the cost of incarceration.
When it comes to paying a ticket for sidewalk camping, a city spokesperson said courts have alternative sentencing, work programs, etc. But the goal of this is not to write tickets. It is to give unhoused individuals a choice to get assistance. People camping in the Portland area may soon face new restrictions. Portland and Gresham officials met on Tuesday to discuss how they can regulate camping within city limits. Their goal was to explore whether a Multnomah County policy could enforce camping rules. They say Portland and Gresham would make offers of shelter before forcibly removing people from camping sites. There's no official timeline for when a plan might be put together that could result in a new county policy. California Governor Gavin Newsom signed a series of bills today, all aimed at improving housing affordability and tackling homelessness. Newsom signed some of those 32 bills at an affordable housing complex in San Francisco's Mission District. The new laws focus on pressing local governments to approve new housing and increasing accountability and enforcement. California Assembly member Buffy Wicks wrote a couple of those bills, including one that streamlines the process for developers to get approval to build housing in more places.
Inertia and status quo are no longer acceptable in California. We are going to build the housing that we need to support our communities.
Another new law uses incentives to encourage the conversion of empty office and retail space into housing. The governor has set a goal of building 2.5 million units of new housing by the year 2030. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a risky mission for geologists in Hawaii. Tonight, what they're hoping to learn by getting dangerously close to molten lava.
Let's head to Southern California as the sun begins to set over the Los Angeles Basin, where it was unseasonably cool today. The heat, it's on. I'll tell you when to expect it with your West Coast Wrap forecast.
Oh my gosh! Shohei Ohtani! The greatest day in baseball history!
Also coming up tonight, L.A. Dodgers star Shohei Ohtani swings his way into the history books tonight. Coming up, what he accomplished that no other Major League Baseball player has ever done before. The man accused of opening fire along Interstate 5 in Washington state was ordered to undergo a competency hearing by a judge today. Eric Perkins faces 5 counts of assault with a firearm for that series of shootings. Body camera footage from Fircrest Police shows Perkins talking with officers about 6 hours before the shootings on September 2nd. He told law enforcement he thought people were following him. Officers worked to get him connected with crisis counselors. Police say Perkins later fired at random cars along that stretch of freeway, hitting 8 vehicles and injuring 6 people. He spoke out today in court.
The doctor said that I was perfectly sane since 9 years old. Perfectly sane. And now, at 44 years old, because of the situation I was put in, and I had alerted the police that I was having a situation.
Perkins remains in a King County jail tonight, being held on $1 million bail. There is new video showing what was left of the Titan submersible after it imploded last year on a trip to view the wreckage of the Titanic. It was shown during a U.S. Coast Guard hearing today. This is the first video of that submersible after its implosion, which killed 5 people. Today's testimony included comments from the scientific director of the Everett, Washington-based company that owned the Titan. He said another dive was called off after the Titan malfunctioned just a few days before that fatal mission.
The rest of the passengers tumbled about. I ended up standing on the rear bulkhead. One passenger was hanging upside down.
In addition to determining the cause of that implosion, the Coast Guard will also be looking into whether any criminal charges should be filed. The National Transportation Safety Board is also conducting its own investigation. Today, the University of California Board of Regents approved additional non-lethal weapons that have been requested by UCLA police, which handled some of the nation's largest student protests against the Israel-Hamas war. Clashes between protesters and counter-protesters earlier this year on that campus led to more than a dozen injuries. The new equipment includes pepper balls, sponge rounds, projectile launchers, as well as new drones. The board also signed off on equipment purchase requests for 9 other police departments on UC campuses. Months after protesters caused hundreds of thousands of dollars in damage to Portland State University's library, students are now being welcomed back inside that building. Fox 12's Carly Olson spoke to library leaders about their huge undertaking to make this comeback.
The doors are finally back open at PSU's Millar Library after hundreds of hours of work and over $1 million in repairs. But if you look closely, there are a few lingering marks from what happened here just 4 months ago.
They ended up taking off some, but they couldn't quite get all of it off.
A few traces of graffiti, almost indiscernible, remaining on the bookshelves of the PSU library.
We had an enormous amount of work to do in a fairly short period of time, and we had to prioritize the things that were absolutely necessary for getting the doors open safely.
Just a few months ago, this is what the space looked like after dozens of pro-Palestinian protesters broke into the library and occupied it for several days. A first look at the damage was enough to cause panic.
This area took quite a bit of damage, as you can imagine, because of all the glass. So we had quite a bit of broken glass in the doors.
Most of the monitors were smashed. I'm not sure what happened to the CPUs, but they also needed to be replaced.
It was really difficult. It was really overwhelming, particularly that first day after the occupation was over. It came in that Friday, and the scale of the damage was hard to even start to think of what we would do to get back to normal.
The university estimates the cost of technology repairs at $116,000, $150,000 for furniture replacements, and $137,000 for painting. Along with all other repairs, they say it's cost $1,233,000 to bring the library back to its former state, a number they hope will mostly be covered by insurance.
This is a big building, as you can see. It's 5 floors and it's a little maze-like. So we are sort of resigned to continue finding just all these little things that we'll need to fix up and address over time.
Now they're still waiting on replacements for the damaged specialty computers for students with disabilities. But the broken windows have been replaced. Chairs are back around tables, and most importantly, the students are back in the hallways.
I'm actually hearing from a lot of students who haven't been in at all before and are really excited to see the library for the first time, which is also really encouraging.
It makes me feel like crying and with a great sense of relief. We're all here because we love to provide library services, and so not to be able to do that in this building was pretty heart-wrenching, and then to see them back was, it was very a balm for all that.
Carly Olson, Fox 12 Oregon.
What a wonderful respite, a nice break from the oppressive heat we experienced most of September. Good evening, everybody. Anywhere from the Pacific Northwest all the way through Santa Barbara into San Diego and flirting with that Mexican-California border there, did we have a cool down? It's all because of a couple of different elements taking place. An enhanced marine layer right there, an area of low pressure that continues to spin its wheels as it takes a nosedive toward Southern California. In fact, when you see green on the screen, you know what happened today? We actually had a flood advisory around Monterey County into southern portions of the Salinas Valley. Thunderstorms were reported around the Fresno area. A lot of that's beginning to dissipate as we zoom in on the state of California and looking over towards Nevada. Now, this core of the area low pressure that has sparked the thunderstorm activity all the way through the spine of the Sierra Nevada mountain range is now beginning to shift to the east, but we're looking upstream towards the Pacific Northwest. Not a lot of activity going on there after plenty of cloud cover earlier today. So let's take a look at the rainfall forecast. Yeah, rainfall forecast as we wind up these last few days of summer. We do anticipate just a smattering of a couple of raindrops overnight in the Los Angeles basin. Otherwise, we did have up to about a ½ an inch of rain around King City and throughout the Central Valley. Today, Seattle, that's what it looked like with the partly cloudy skies and the temperatures pretty spot on for this time of the year, but it was about 7 degrees below average in throughout the city of San Francisco with that fog bank not clearing around the San Mateo coastline there. 63 degrees. Meanwhile, it was back on September 17th when we shattered that record streak of 117 days of temperatures over 100 degrees in Phoenix. Today, checking in at 98 degrees, but that's going to change over the weekend. Look at the sundown in the Los Angeles area, 10 degrees below average. Current temperatures mid-50s in San Francisco, 84 in Las Vegas. That sounds pleasant. So that core of the area low pressure is beginning to dissipate as it begins to drop down in a southerly direction. And as it does so, here's a look at the forecast for the Friday. Temperatures very close to seasonal for this time of the year, but heating up over the weekend. Alex?
Roberta, thank you. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a record-setting night for Dodgers superstar Shohei Ohtani. He left the yard time after time after time tonight. What he did on the field that no other major league player has ever done before. Also, cameras rolling during a bold operation in Hawaii. See what it took for a team of geologists to collect lava from the Kilauea volcano.
This is not real life. He is not human.
Los Angeles Dodgers superstar Shohei Ohtani made history tonight in dramatic fashion. He became the first player in Major League Baseball history with more than 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases in a season. In tonight's game against the Marlins in Miami, Ohtani went 6 for 6, going deep 3 times and stealing 2 bases. The Japanese star has now hit 51 homers this season, and he has 51 stolen bases. After the game, Ohtani told reporters that he was surprised by his incredible night. All right, we turn now to the latest on the criminal case against Sean Diddy Combs as the disgraced music mogul remains behind bars, facing charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. TMZ now reporting at least one person has been subpoenaed to testify in front of a grand jury, and others are planning to cooperate with investigators. According to TMZ, one of the people planning to testify is a former sex worker who claims they interacted with Diddy back in 2014.
This person is willing and ready to do this and share their experience with Diddy. And I think it goes to show that although he has been charged with 3 very serious counts that could carry up to life in prison, there could be more charges to follow, and there could be other people who have not yet been charged, Heather, who will then be charged at some point here in the near future.
Combs was arrested earlier this week, and prosecutors are alleging that he abused and threatened women to coerce them into taking part in elaborate sex performances. Combs has pleaded not guilty. A new trend exploding on Facebook lately involves scammers posing as well-known local musicians. KTVU's Tom Vakar has the details on what you need to watch out for.
Susan Zelensky, who performs as Susan Z, is a longtime Bay Area musician, well-known and most popular in the North Bay in solo performances, bands, and teaching. Her income is an important part of her family's finances.
They are using my name to try and sell their shirts.
She and many other musicians have been victimized by scammers who are using their names, reputations, and fans to sell merchandise on Facebook for which the artists get nothing.
A lot of my friends are all in the same boat. Like, they get tagged and then they are also having their identities stolen.
This trending scam is possible with artificial intelligence and bots that can determine a musician's popularity and then target posts precisely to likely fans and friends, hopping from contact to contact to contact.
And then my name suddenly was being used to sell the t-shirts as well.
Will Magid is also a successful regional musician who's been hijacked as well.
There's people or robots, I'm not totally sure, on the internet that have taken my brand and made shirts and hats and they sell them online. My guess is they're not even making them until they have a sale. And even then, I don't even know. They might not even actually produce the goods or distribute them.
In this case, Will's dad is a true expert, analyst, and journalist, Larry Magid.
Oh, there's an enormous amount of things that are being sold on social media that are one kind of scam or another. But all they really want is your name and credit card number and your address, either to steal your money or to help steal your identity. But you do have to watch it on Facebook, that just because it's appearing on Facebook doesn't necessarily mean that Meta has vetted them properly.
They just keep coming and coming and coming. And no matter how many times you report it to Facebook, that it's a scam, it's a fraud, nothing seems to get done. I've been reporting it for months, and now friends are telling me they've been reporting it for many months as well. They do have a responsibility to stop it, I believe.
Meta, Facebook's parent company, sent a statement that did not specifically deal with the problems raised in this report. Instead, they offered a series of generic tips for users and encouraged them to watch out for malicious software. We're posting their reply on our website, ktvu.com. Tom Vakar, KTVU Fox 2 News.
And finally tonight, some new images from Hawaii showing some geologists getting very close to lava this week. The U.S. Geological Survey posted video online showing those crews in protective gear collecting lava samples. This week's eruption of Hawaii's Kilauea volcano gave them the chance to do this work. Geologists intend to study the samples to learn more about lava's pathways to the Earth's surface. Dangerous work there, but important work as well. That does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. We appreciate you watching. Have a great night.